Are you tired of waiting 3 weeks for your books to get triaged? Well, so am I. And in this video, I want to give you some tips that I've learned from writing my own reports on how to actually speed up this triaging and payout process in order to actually get the money faster. And I've had a lot of problems with this over the past year or so, especially here on BookCrowd where I hack a lot. I think my reports take about 3 weeks to get triaged on average, which is ridiculous. I think it should more be like 3 days for someone to just come in and reproduce the same vulnerability you found. But the problem was actually on me, I think. And the way I was writing my reports was just not that great. And that's really why it was taking so long for the books to get triaged, because I wasn't including enough detail, etc. So in this video, I'll give you 5 tips that I've actually learned. And the first one is to use proper grammar and English when you're actually writing your report, right? So here I'm just in BookCrowd, right? And this is, I imagine this is the same for all book bounty platforms. And when you're writing your report, you want to use good English with good grammar, because a lot of people here, the English isn't their first language, right? So what you want to do is basically just get some like extension to write to help you write proper grammar. And I understand if a lot of people probably who watch this, English might not be your first language, and especially in the book bounty space, there's people from abroad. I know there's a lot of book bounty hunters from France, from where else? From Poland, for example, where I come from. And not everyone is as fortunate to be able to speak good English, right? But that's really the basis for getting your book triaged. Is just making sure that you're actually using proper English and that everyone is actually understanding you. So maybe you install an extension like Grammarly, and then that will actually help you to speak in proper plain English, so that the people from abroad who are also trying to understand what you're saying will not get confused and will not do the wrong things. And the second tip I want to give you is to utilize Markdown. I'm fairly sure every single book bounty platform allows Markdown, which means that you can write with headers and you can do stuff like lists, right? Oops. So if I put a header here, for example, with the 2 hashtags, and I go preview it, you can see that it's being rendered as Markdown, right? So why this is helpful is because it helps people to actually understand what you're saying, right? So for example, you could use this to put down like an introduction, right? Introduction, and then you could put like steps to reproduce, like so. And now it becomes infinitely clearer to see what you're actually trying to say, right? Because if you just put like an introduction down here, blah 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 blah, and then you put your steps to reproduce down here, people can actually see what you're trying to say, right? So you can definitely tell how that's going to help you. And you can see that it even tells you that Markdown is supported on almost every single platform, and it even tells you what to do, right? So you can put text in bold to make sure people notice it. You can put links in your text. You can list stuff, and then you can also use something called code, right? You can use code lines, which is especially useful because, for example, if I have a step to reproduce here, it's like use this command, and then I want to show what the command is, instead of just like typing down like cd home, right? If I go to preview that, it doesn't look that great, right? It just kind of looks meh. But if I use something like this and then come back and then type in bash up here, like so, you'll see that the command actually looks a lot better. It gets actually highlighted. And this is great because people will be able to see that this is a terminal command. And the same thing goes, like if you want to have some Python script here, like this, if you type in Python, and here we have like, and here we have like print hello, like this, you can see that the syntax and all gets highlighted, which is why you should really be utilizing Markdown. And the more you use small things like these, the more the person is going to be able to understand what you're trying to say, and you're really going to get across to them, right? And the third thing is you want to utilize pictures wherever possible, right? So as we're going down through our steps to reproduce, we want to make sure that we include some kind of picture to show that the triager is going to be reading this and he wants to verify that what he's actually doing is correct, right? So use this command, and then we'll say like do this, and then what you ideally want to do is put a picture here of you actually kind of in the middle of doing the thing, right? And that way, when the triager is trying to make the book work, right, they're going to look at the picture and say, oh, so he's doing it like this, I want to do the same way. And you might be able to even avoid misunderstandings like this, because if you phrase something a bit weirdly and the triage doesn't really know what's going on, if you included a picture, well, now it's clear what you're doing, right? If you have a picture of you putting in like changing a request, like, and the directory is there and all that, the triage knows, okay, so I have to intercept the request from this directory and I have to change it into what he has there, and that'll just make it infinitely clearer for someone to see what you're actually trying to do. And in Bookcrowd, I think you can literally just drag it in here. I'm sure it's not hard to do it in any other platform. So you want to prioritize using pictures especially. And the fourth kind of tip is, this is kind of going into like more advanced techniques now, and it's using a video. So ideally what you want to do is record a video like I'm recording right now, and just, for example, show what you're actually doing. Just reproduce the bug as you're recording the video. And a very helpful tool for this is what I usually do is called, on Linux, this is just called record my desktop, right? And what you basically do, I'm not going to turn it on now because it's going to get a bit confused, but what it just does is it just records what you're doing, and then you can just stop it and it just saves it as a file, which is exactly what you want, and your audio doesn't get recorded or anything. And you can even also do like voiceovers. If you do a voiceover, I mean, if the person doesn't triage it, like, come on. Well, you can talk over your video. That's probably helpful. But honestly, just a plain video of what it actually looks like really will go wonders. And the person will probably be able to do it correctly, but maybe there's some kind of like misconfiguration. Sometimes just like the person's using like, I had this one bug where the fella was using the wrong Python version and you couldn't get my script to run. So stuff like that is kind of unavoidable. And even though I had a video included, he wasn't still able to reproduce it because he was using some weird Python version. So, and that happens, but it'll just reduce the amount of kind of issues you're going to have with the triager reading your thing and just doing the wrong bloody thing, because basically the step will, the triager will be able to follow your video and then look at the steps and then compare the two, and then basically get the best out of both, right? So that'll pretty much guarantee that the steps are done correctly. And now the last tip I'll give you, this quick video, is to automate as much as possible from your steps to reproduce, right? So if you have something like sending like an API request, something like that, you can actually just make a Python script to do that for the person. All you usually have to do is tell them to append either their cookie or some kind of API key, and then you can actually do most of the requests for them. Now this does require coding knowledge, and I really recommend Python for this because it's just simple and you can actually just ChatGPT most of it. So what you can just do is ask ChatGPT to make like a Python script to send an API, right? So you'll go into ChatGPT, you'll tell it to do that, and then you just send it to the triager and say, hey, run this with your cookies, and that's it. Like, that's all they have to do, and there's pretty much no way that can go wrong unless for some reason they're using Python 2 or something. So if you automate as much steps as possible, you'll reduce, literally like every step you get rid of is like 3 days that you could have saved. That's pretty much it. So spending like 1 hour making the script is usually actually worth it. Now, I've given you the 5 tips, but I have to kind of add one more thing, is that if you're reporting a bug and you're not sure if it's a duplicate, so if you're recording a bug that was kind of easy to spot and it's been probably there for a while, and I'd say you could be looking at a duplicate. And if you are, I want to recommend doing like this whole massive report just to get it flagged as a duplicate. That's kind of stupid. What I would do is, number one, use proper grammar when I'm writing my report. Number two, use Markdown like I'm showing you to properly segment my report, and then add in pictures. Now what I usually wouldn't do is I wouldn't put a video in, and I wouldn't make like a Python script to automate stuff. I would only do that once I actually know that it's not a duplicate. So what you could do, for example, is write like a kind of like a draft report at first, right? write kind of a simple report, write in like 10-15 minutes, and that's it, and just send it off. If the triager comes back to you, and that they probably won't have a triage, they'll probably ask you some weird question. So what you'll then do is you'll rewrite your report, but this time you'll include in the video, and you'll include in the automation, the Python script or whatever. And that way you're not wasting time preparing those things for a book that's already a duplicate, because now you have confirmation that it's not a duplicate, because if the triager hasn't marked it as so, then that means that it hasn't been found yet. So I think that's an optimal strategy, is to basically reduce the amount of time you're spending on the reports, but also basically reduce the amount of time that you're waiting for the reports to go through, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's it for this quick video. My camera isn't working because I'm waiting for a new stand, so I just had to kind of make this raw video today. But I'm also selling labs now. I have a course on Gumroad, and these are 12 hands-on practical labs that are designed to simulate server-side vulnerabilities, kind of like vulnerable applications. And they go kind of hand in hand with the stuff that I talk about in my video, which you can watch my What and Where series, where I talk about different book types, and then you can actually try hands-on labs with those videos to try and look for these bugs yourselves. And I do always encourage people to look for practical knowledge, especially in bug bounty. So I always include resources in the descriptions of my videos. I always include labs that you can try out and further reading you can do. So I've created my own labs now so that you can try and work on them yourself if you want to, of course. My link is in the description. But anyway, thanks for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, then leave a like and maybe leave a comment as well if you enjoyed this style of video. And as always, thanks for watching and happy hunting.